Hey, what's up, people of God? This is Pastor Matt with Believers in Christ Church, the people's pastor, here with another episode of Saints in Society. What's up, people of God? This is Pastor Matt with Believers in Christ Church, the people's pastor. We are here on Saints in Society. I'm excited. I got two of my sisters with me today. I have Sister Jackie Carter and Sister Catherine Rosado, and these are two nurses in the medical field. And we're going to discuss this whole COVID-19 situation, this whole epidemic, biblical proportions that's going on. And we're going to talk about it from a medical and clinical standpoint of two women that are women of God and women of faith, and how they navigate through this whole secular job with helping people as women of God. So if y'all can introduce yourselves, Sister Carter, can you kind of just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what your role is as a nurse, and then after that, Sister Catherine, can you do the same? And then we'll kind of get going.
Okay, good morning. My name is Jackie Carter. I'm a registered nurse. I currently work at a local hospital. My background is in gerontology, the study of aging. I also have experience in orthopedic trauma as well as float pool. Float pool is where I currently am right now as a registered nurse. So that means I work all over the hospital and whatever department as far as nursing, a lot of different floors. So I have a lot of variety in the places I go on a daily basis when I report to work. So that's kind of my background, and I've been a registered nurse since 2013. So 7 years.
Amen. 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 Okay. How about you, Sister Catherine? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm a registered nurse as well. I work in ICU. I've been in ICU for about 3 years now. Before that, I worked on a medical floor and worked in home care. So I did an array of different areas, but currently I am in ICU.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So I really just want to thank you, ladies, for taking the time out. I know this is a busy time for you all working in the hospitals with all that is going on, and being mothers and being wives, and all that stuff is appreciated. And we're going to share some information today. I pray that the people can share this. Hit the share button, hit the like, whatever content way that you are consuming this information. And definitely these women are high level character women of God, that can share some information with us. So one of the things I want to ask, because this is a faith-based program, if you can kind of each one of you take a couple minutes just to dialogue about how you came to faith, how you came to Christ, and then how you were led into nursing, and if there's any correlation between your faith and between you getting involved in nursing. Can you start, Sister Catherine?
Yeah, so what led me to Christ is just basically life. Life just knocked me over to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. I started having thoughts of suicide. But however, I was kind of brought up in church. I mean, I was brought up in church, but I was just a body in church, meaning I went to church with my mom growing up, but I just went there because I had to go there. I didn't listen. I just sat there thinking about what I was going to do for the day. So I really wouldn't say that I was a Christian. I was just a body in church. But when life hit me, I got to the point where I just got on my knees. I recall being in the bathroom and I poured my heart out and asked God to just take over and help me. And from that point on, it's been no turning back. It's just been nothing but blessings and joy. I couldn't see myself. I have no regrets. So as far as going back to what led me to be a nurse, I actually, growing up, didn't know what I wanted to be, but I went to school for biology. I did research for cancer. I did that for a while, but then I wanted to go back to school and kind of get out of just being in a lab and more so wanting to deal with people. So I went back to school and went for nursing. But long story short, I ended up visiting my mom and going back to some childhood photos, and she kept all my papers and artwork, and I found something in first grade, and it says, "What you want to be when you grow up?" And it says, I wrote on there and drew a picture, "I want to be a nurse," and lo and behold, came back around. So.
Amen. Amen. That's awesome. And what I really like about your story right there is that you came to Christ in your bathroom, right? Like sometimes people think that it all has to be this elaborate thing, this huge altar call, and it has to be done in the church. But that's not the case. I remember coming to Christ in my parents' basement. You know what I mean? Like I was laid out on the floor, so I could relate to that. And I think that's so key there in terms of your story and how that, how that led you to where you are today. Right? And as a minister, right? Aren't you a minister, I believe?
No, I'm not. I'm not a minister.
Oh, okay.
I just God uses me, and that's the thing. Sometimes you don't have to necessarily go to school to be able to deliver and preach the word. If you
That's
have
right.
a strong relationship, God will anoint you and give you so much. He will give you prophecy, and he will give you direction in his word so that you can speak to the people. So, I mean, I don't discredit those that go to seminary school. I think it's awesome. But I don't want people to be strayed away because, you want to be someone that's anointed more than anything.
That's right.
And be able to go and go to seminary school so that you can be more in depth in studying the word.
That's right. That's good stuff there. That's good stuff. I was just prophesying a little bit. Don't worry. No. How about you, Sister Jackie? Can you answer the same question? Can you dialogue about that for a little bit?
Oh, sure. I feel like I didn't grow up in one single church.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in every church,
Meaning
that every chance my mom got, I don't know if it was because it was 6 of us, but she got rid of us. Any church that was offering free breakfast, children's programs, all kinds of events, she made sure we went. Did my mom go to church? I never really saw her in church, but she sent us to church. So, I ended up going to non-denominational Christian, Methodist. At one point in my life, I found myself in a children's home. So I was going to church there, church throughout college. But, through all of my experiences in church, there was something that I loved about encountering the presence of the Lord. And I just grew to love him.
Amen.
And I probably have been saved, what we categorize as saved about 20 times because I never felt good enough. I never felt clean enough. I never felt pure enough. And nor do I feel that way now. I'm always striving to be more and more like Jesus. And so, I was baptized 3 times, one for the Father, one for the Son, and one for the Holy Ghost.
Amen.
I just have always wanted to be with the Lord. And, throughout my life, I've had many different experiences, some traumatic, but the Lord has been with me through it all. And so for that, I'm so grateful. And, I realize that my experiences are not in vain, but that I can share and, encourage people that, I've been through these things, because I don't look like what I've been through, but I can encourage people that, hey, you can prevail, that God can bring you out. And so I'm grateful for everything that I went through. But as far as, what fueled my passion to become a nurse, I was born a preemie, 2 pounds, 3 ounces.
Wow.
I really did not have many deficits, just a small physical one. But, growing up as a young child, some of the neighborhood kids would pick on me, and I ended up becoming friends with an elderly woman in the neighborhood, and she just befriended me. So I would go to her house a lot, and that kind of fueled my passion to want to give back to the elderly in particular.
Okay.
And so through my relationship with her, that's when I said, I want to give back. I did like health career opportunities program at high school where we did the CNA. And then, I knew I wanted to go on to college to become a registered nurse. And, I sort of took the long way around. Nursing is my 3rd degree, but it was always in my heart. So God blessed me and allowed me to do it, and I'm here, and and I'm serving, and I'm just so blessed and happy every day that He
Amen.
allowed me to realize my dream. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, those are awesome testimonies, my sisters. I appreciate that. And I'm sure that the listening viewers appreciate hearing your testimonies. And it just kind of just show that, you don't have to have it all together in Christ. When you come to Christ, like sometimes people say, oh, I'm gonna wait till my life is good and then I'm gonna go to church, or I'm gonna wait till everything's perfect. The rose beds are bloomed, and my grass is cut and everything's right before I go to church. But what you all have shown and displayed through your testimonies is that we don't always have to have it all together, right? That's when Christ wants us, especially when we're broken, and we can come to Him in our brokenness, and He can fix us and mold us, right? He is the potter and we are the clay. Sometimes we got to be broken that He can reform and reshape us into who we are today, right? So I appreciate that. So crazy times. Crazy stuff going on nowadays, right? I almost feel bad. I don't have a mask on right now in my own house. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But what is COVID-19? Like, what is COVID-19? What is coronavirus? I mean, they say it could be. It's like a flu. It debilitates your lungs. I mean, I got allergies. It's allergy season right now. So, what I mean, do I got coronavirus because my allergies are bugging out? Like, what can you talk to us about that? Let's start with you, Sister Carter.
So what the virus is, it's respiratory in nature. Unlike the common cold will affect the upper respiratory system. So that's when you get the symptoms like, in the back of your throat or in your nose. But what the coronavirus does, it affects the lower respiratory tract. So you're getting down into the lungs. And what it does, we have these air sacs in our lungs, which help us to carry oxygen throughout our body, through our blood. And so with the virus, what it does, it comes into our body. Our body's trying to send antibodies or those things to help boost our immune system to fight off the virus. So our lining of our lungs get thicker and thicker. And basically the virus, it's a war between our body and the virus. And basically with the thickening of the lungs, the fluid and all of that, it chokes out the body's ability to have those air sacs deliver the oxygen to our body and to our organs, our vital organs.
So what you're saying is literally, as the virus is attacking the body, the lungs, because the body is, God has made us a beautiful body that defends itself against, things like this. But the body actually begins to build a mucus to prevent the virus from expanding, and it is the mucus that affects the lungs from being able to transmit air to the rest of the body. Wow. Okay. You want to add anything to that, Sister Catherine?
Yeah, so the coronavirus, there's actually different strands of the coronavirus. So they have up to, I believe, 7 types of coronavirus. Wow. It's just that this virus has actually become the worst virus. It's a new virus. So the coronavirus, they call it COVID-19. Well, to break it up, so COVID-19 is basically just took the corona, the first 2 letters of corona, virus, the first 2 letters, and disease. And then 19 is because the first case was found in China in the later part of probably December or some point in time in December of 2019. So okay. They used the year 19. So that's how we get COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So this strand that we have now is basically 2 strands, one of the older type of the coronavirus, and then this new strand. So it's just a combination, and this new strand, like she said before, it really targets your lungs. So it starts off, going into the upper respiratory, where you kind of have, like maybe like a little tickle or a dry throat, but it migrates down into your lower part of your respiratory, which is your lungs. And like she says, it attacks it. The virus replicates. It's like it wants to come in and take over. And in our bodies, like you said, God has created us in such a profound and unique way that scientists haven't been able to pinpoint everything what our body does. But our natural body's defense, when something foreign or something that your body just doesn't like, it tries to fight it off. So it develops a inflammatory response. So your body is trying to fight this virus, this foreign object that's in your lungs. It's like a battle. It's a war. It's a war within your lungs, and it's trying to take over. So they in your lungs you have a villi. I always look at them as when I was in nursing school, it's a cluster of grapes, and that's where the gas exchange occurs. Oxygen and CO2. But within there, that virus comes down into those sacs, and it just takes over. So they become more inflamed. So it's more difficult to breathe. So that's why you get the shortness of breath. So it starts off, as like a flu. Most people, and the worst thing is, we're in that season of allergies. So
allergy season,
yeah. So with the allergy seasoning coming in, some people get, the dryness, the nasal drainage, the cough. So the early symptoms is, a dry cough, and then with the flu season, you just don't really know, because the symptoms are so very familiar.
Very similar, and not to over spiritualize it, but when you talk about it's like your body fighting against the virus, it really sounds like that internal struggle of man and spirit. You know what I mean? Like of flesh and spirit, and and maybe that's the pastor me coming out saying that. I might have to pluck that away for a sermon later, but you know what I mean. But it really does sound like that internal battle that goes on. Now, one thing we know, like. Allergies aren't contagious. We know that the flu, if you directly sneeze on somebody, you could probably make them sick. But what is so different about this disease, this virus, that people that's easy to spread? Like, what is it? Is it a variation? Is it a mutation? Like, what is it that allows it to spread so quickly?
So the flu, the thing with the flu is that the flu's been around for so long. If you look at like CDC and World Health Organization, the flu, the numbers are high, but we have vaccines. Healthcare workers, it's mandatory that you get a flu vaccine. Schools now requiring you to get vaccines. So there's a vaccine. So the flu don't get, the thing with the flu, the numbers are high. You have a lot of cases continuously where, people are affected by the flu. But what's happening is this COVID-19, this is a new strand. It's never been seen before. Like when you watch the news, they didn't know how it was cured. It's just a new virus, whereas the flu it's been around for so long. So, if you compare the numbers, the flu is actually higher numbers, but this COVID-19 is lethal. It's deadly. It's killing people, and there's not enough data or information. And there's no vaccine for it. So that separates it from the flu more so.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Sister Jackie. I want to play the other side of the coin real quick. Like we understand how deadly this thing is, and how peculiar it seems. But I saw somebody put out yesterday, and I don't know. I'm not sourcing it. I'm gonna put it out. I'm just gonna put it so we could dialogue. But it says deaths worldwide from January 1 till yesterday, right? And it says for COVID-19, it's been 73,800 deaths. For seasonal flu, it's been 128,607 deaths. Malaria, 259,000 plus. Suicide, 283,000 plus. Traffic fatalities, 357,000 plus. HIV/AIDS 444,000 plus, alcohol 661,000 plus, smoking 1.3 million, cancer is 2.1 million, and abortions. It's been over 11 million abortions since January 1. Now these are worldwide, and this is from the World Barometer. It looks like that's where the source is from. Now the country's going crazy over this COVID-19. Are we overreacting, or some of the statistics show that we might be overreacting? But you're in the battle, you're in the war zone. What are we overreacting?
Personally, I don't think so. I don't think that you could ever be too careful when you have a virus that we don't have a vaccine for. As my sister said, that is the main issue. All of these other things, they've been around for, quite some time, and we have a way to combat it. This virus is like an invisible enemy. We kind of, know what the 1-2 punch can feel like, but we have no way to really, truly defend ourselves. And, it's going to take some time to develop, a gold standard course of action for treatment. And that's kind of where the issue is.
Okay. Now talk to us about the human to human transmission. You sent a photo to me the other day. I'm going to try to share it. It's my first time sharing the screen, so I'm hoping this works. So let me see here. Boom. Can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, technology is dope, yo. So so Sister Jackie, talk to me about this, like about why we need a social distance, why and how is it? Let me see if I can blow it up a little. Why and how is it? Can y'all still see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why and how is this transmitted from humans so easily?
Well, I think that, first I'll say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I mean, I don't think that, any explanation that I could actually give will demonstrate to a person what you see in front of you as far as the transmission. It is recommended by the CDC that we do practice social distancing. And so that means staying at least.
Real quick, what's the CDC? Just so people that
The Center
might
for
not know.
Disease Control. I apologize. It's the Center for Disease Control.
Okay.
So they do recommend that we, practice social distancing. So in this regard, social distancing is remaining 6 feet away from other people. It is thought that the virus, you can contract it through, it's primarily contracted through the nose. So when people are laughing, coughing, sneezing, it's droplet. So these are all, within that distance, within 6 feet of another person or less than 6 feet, you are more apt to, possibly come in contact with the virus. So as the first line shows, no social distancing. One person, goes out and they're just, living life. Within 5 days, 2.5 people. And then within 30 days, it just gets out of control. But as you back down and you start staying in the house, not going out as much, realizing that all of those things that you thought were important, they're not as important. And you reduce your exposure, the numbers get less and less. And, there are a few things, I don't know when is a good time to talk about it, but regarding social distancing and spreading the virus, when you practice social distancing, as well as, wearing those face masks that they're recommending, it's not necessarily for you. It is for you in a sense, but it's also for other people, because you can be carrying the virus and not realize it and still expose other people or spread it to other people.
Wow. Okay, and that's great. So Sister Catherine, can you add anything to that for us, like in terms of the spreading it to other people? Like I know they say that everybody is susceptible to it, no matter what side of the track you live on, no matter your socioeconomic status, your faith, your religion, none of that matters. But what the scientists have told us is that it also is elderly, and correct me if I'm wrong, elderly and those with pre-existing conditions are more susceptible to, I guess, to the implications of actually contracting the virus. Can you talk about that for a moment?
So when they say elderly, yes, it's difficult for those that particular population. But however, it doesn't necessarily target just someone that's 70 or 80 years old. You have people that's in their 30s and 40s, and in some cases younger. So you don't necessarily have to look at just a certain age population, because you have people that are in their 30s and 40s who might have asthma, who may have COPD. You have smokers, because the biggest thing is it like we said in earlier, is that it takes over your lungs. So, asthma affects your lungs. COPD affects your lungs. If you're a heavy smoker, believe it or not, your lungs are affected. So, that necessarily, it may not, you can have someone that's 7 years old, and you can't just pinpoint an age, because you can have someone that's 70 walking, they don't have any pre-existing conditions, and they may be okay as compared to someone that's maybe in their early 30s, who's obese and who has COPD, and may have other pre-existing conditions. So we can't just look at it just as an age thing.
Okay.
You have to look at it as a whole. So you can't just focus just on that. So it can affect anyone. And like she said, the social distancing is very important. The mask, like she had said, that it to have a special mask is really for healthcare workers who are taking care of people that are positive and that are in the hospital. But if you're going out, and if you actually have to go out, it's great to wear a mask, because you could be carrying the virus and you may be asymptomatic, meaning you don't have the symptoms, you're not affected by it, you're moving, you're healthy, it's in there, and your body is able to combat the virus, and the virus is not taking over of you. So what people can do, and what they're recommending, is for people to make their own mask. So what I have here is basically a mask that my coworker's mom made out of cloth, and you just put the mask over and apply it like that, and then there you have it. You have a mask that your nose and your mouth is covered, so that way if you're out, you cough, it's not as spreading as if you didn't have any covering. So that's important when people go out, is to keep yourself covered. Again, this is allergy seasoning. People are going to be sneezing
all
and
over the place.
Exactly, and it's just going to be spreading. And again, you could be asymptomatic and just have allergies and be in the store and sneeze, and it spreads. And then you have someone that walks by with no mask, and then there you go. So the virus spreads just like that. It's so that quick. And the thing is that makes this so deadly, and so where people are afraid, because you can't see it. You can't see the virus. You know what I mean? So we had talked about the deaths, the abortions, and the killings, and everything of the numbers. But what's so different is this virus, you cannot see it with the naked eye. It could be sitting, the virus can be sitting on your table and you wouldn't know it. So that's why they say, you need to wash your hands as often as possible, because the virus can be sitting on these palms of your hand, and you go to wipe your eye or go to scratch your nose or pick something out of your teeth, and there you have it. The virus is just going, so it's difficult. It's difficult.
My God.
And not only
yep.
Oh, not only the elderly, but those people that are immunocompromised. So those people with HIV, those people with chronic kidney disease on dialysis. So anybody with a compromised immune system, those that are severely obese, they need to be careful as well, because their body's defenses are compromised and not as strong as someone without those ailments and illnesses. So, you know, we have to be careful of those, you know, those people as well.
Yeah, yeah, wow. So what is going on in the hospitals? Because you know we see varying information about what's going on in the hospitals. You know, sometimes with the media, you got to take what they say with a grain of salt. But you ladies are in the hospital, right? Like y'all are there. Y'all know what's going on. Like we getting it. You know, whenever I talk about like apologetics with Christianity, I'm always telling people make sure that your information is a primary source, right? Don't get a secondary or tertiary source and try to tell me the Council of Nicaea was when Jesus was created in 325 AD, right? When we got information that shows of Christ in the first century, right? Like, so we'll get a primary source. So right now we've been blessed on Saints in Society to have two primary sources that are in the hospitals, that are working with patients, that are seeing what's going on. So, Sister Jackie, I'll start with you. Can you dialogue a little bit about what's going on in the hospital? Is it truly, as some have said, like a war zone? I don't know if you know anything about New York, but why is it like why is New York? I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, so it's like you never think the city gonna run out of anything, but they talking about they running out of hospital beds and they need ventilators and all that. Can you just kind of paint that picture from us for somebody that's inside and actually dealing with what's going on?
Okay, well, I'll start off by saying New York is bigger. So New York is bigger. New York has more people. And if you, I mean, you grew up in New York. I'm a Florida girl.
Yeah.
But I visited New York, and it would be next to impossible for anybody to remain less than 6 feet or more than 6 feet away from one another. So to me, it's not a surprise how fast it has ripped through New York. Um, so, I mean, that's all I can say about New York. I'm not there, but I, you know, in the local hospital that I am at, I do work directly on the unit, and I've been doing it for the last 3 weeks straight, you know, and it's very interesting. I thought that I was getting floated to a particular floor. I was like, okay, cool, I'm on this floor, you know, no problem. I've been on this floor plenty of times. I'm gonna have a great night. I walked on the floor and I'm like, what is all of this yellow stuff? What are all these contact precaution signs? And it wasn't the unit that I thought I was walking into. Wow. So yes, in certain hospitals, we have converted certain units to be able to handle this special population. Wow. So, for example, the unit that I'm on, it's not a very large unit, but all of the rooms on the unit have negative air pressure. That's one of the things that we are, you know, encouraging.
And what is that? What is negative air pressure?
So the rooms on the unit have negative air pressure, which means that everything that's going on with that person, as far as germs and bacteria, that's all going to be enclosed or contained, I should say, contained within the room, as long as we keep the doors closed and sealed. So it is to prevent, you know, air can flow in, but it's to prevent that type of air
from coming back
from
out.
flowing out. Yes. So that's one measure that we've taken for this population to kind of minimize the spread of the virus. Also, you know, of course, we're up on PPE. I feel very confident with what we've done with that. So for every, you know, nurse or provider, lab technician, anybody who will come in contact with this person, they're gonna have gown to wear, gloves to wear, mask to wear, shield and or goggles to wear each and every time they go into the room. And this is dedicated supplies and equipment. I know also for my hospital that I work at, we do emphasize high quality care with minimal contact with the possible infected person. So we might take different measures as far as how we deliver medications and everything, you know, whether it be to add some type of extension tubing so we can have a safe distance from the patient, but yet still give them the medications that they need to treat a condition, for example, pneumonia. So we have that in place as well. We also have the ability just to communicate with staff by using the call bell system. So we have runners outside the room so they can get things and bring it to us. So we're not in and out of the room. We can cluster care and do everything that we need to do while we're in the room with that patient, taking advantage of that opportunity, just to do everything that we need to do. And then when we're out, we're out. So those are just some of the things that I've experienced, working firsthand with these patients over the last several weeks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, Sister Catherine, can you talk about your experience? Let's say if somebody comes into the hospital, they're having symptoms, or let's take it a step further. Let's say it's been they have COVID-19. They have, like, what is the process? What is the procedure? Can you talk about some of the things that your hospital has set up to combat this virus?
Okay, so particularly not just my hospital, just seeing on the news, a lot of hospitals, a lot of the procedures, everything has been canceled. So anyone that pretty much is in the hospital, either they have the COVID-19 symptom or it's something life-threatening. So they try to eliminate as much people in the hospital as possible. So if you're having the symptoms, typically, it depends. Some people call their doctor. They try to keep them at home, not even get them to come out. Try to treat them that way based off of their symptoms. However, if you coming into the hospital, most people, they're going to have to go through the ED. A lot of hospitals, what I've seen and heard is that they have tents set outside. They have it where people are coming up, just rolling up through their car, not necessarily getting out, trying to treat them that way, just based off of the symptoms. It's kind of it's a person by person thing that, varies. But if you come through the ED, they will test you. If let's just say you're not breathing or your numbers are not looking right, they may send you to a medical floor. A lot of hospitals, I believe, they're assigning certain floors for rule outs. Again, I work in ICU, so I don't really know all the fine details, and every hospital is different. But if it gets to a point, and again, this virus attacks the lung. So let's just say you're breathing, you're not able to breathe on room air. They may put you with a nasal cannula just in your nose. If it gets to be too bad, you may have to go on like a face mask, a BiPAP, CPAP, high flow nasal cannula. Worst case scenario, your breathing is getting too bad, which is what the situation in New York and a lot of other hotspots, but they're afraid of is the ventilators. So it comes down to it where you're breathing, your numbers are not looking right, where they have to put the breathing tube in. So basically the machine is going to take over your breathing again. This virus attacks your lungs to the point where you're just not able to breathe. So the biggest thing is the ventilators. So having the patients on the ventilators, and again, when someone's on a ventilator, you can't just be on a regular medical floor typically. So that's why it's an issue, because in ICU, you only have so many ICU beds within hospitals. You don't have an array of ICU beds because it's for critical patients. So many hospitals don't project to have a lot of critical patients. So then therefore, that's the biggest thing. They're saying there's not enough beds in these hospitals. Why? Because they've never been designed to have a wide variety of, equipment and having so many cases. So that's why they're afraid of the ICU beds, the ventilators. You don't never project to have so many ventilators. Again, that's just for critical patients. So when you have a city, like she said, of New York, we know that New York is, the population that, you can't just, you're on top of each other.
Yeah.
So therefore the virus spreads so rapidly. You know, you're on subways, you know,
Yep.
it's inevitable to not touch anything. So the thing about New York, this virus spreads so quickly, so easily, and you have hospitals, you know, I don't know how many hospitals there are in New York, but you have a lot of hospitals. But
Wow.
again, they only have so many ventilators. They only have so many ICU beds. A person on the medical floor is not typically trained on, you know, caring for a critically ill patient. You have nurses that are for critically ill patients. So now what they're trying to do is you're trying to get the ICU nurses and the medical floor nurses together to be able to treat these patients. Again, the people that handle the ventilators are respiratory therapists. They are trained specifically for those ventilators to do this proper settings. Again,
Okay.
you know, you only have so many respiratory therapists.
Yep. Do you want to add to that, Sister Jackie?
No.
Okay.
Well said.
Good stuff. All right. So let me ask y'all this. So being Christians, women of faith, loving the Lord Jesus Christ, right? He's your Lord and Savior. But working in a secular, and I guess you would say mostly secular world, in terms of your field being registered nurses, right? You all are highly trained, highly qualified, degreed women of God, right? That are in the hospitals representing Christ always. How do you infuse your faith, if you can, into this situation? What is your Christian worldview of coronavirus right now? Like we understand the medical view, we understand the application of your training, but now being woman of faith, and I'll start with you, Sister Jackie. What is your Christian worldview of this, and how, if you're able to, how do you bring Christ into the patient room with you?
Yeah. Well, my worldview on it is God is in control. And that's it. He's sovereign God.
Amen.
He's in control. And my job for him is to let my light so shine, you know, so that I can draw others to him. And, you know, for me to just keep it basic and stay level, that's what I focus on when I come to work each and every day. And that's just letting my light so shine. I don't necessarily go on my unit and, you know, proclaim the gospel of Christ and, you know, hold up my Bible and make sure my zip cord got a cross on it and all of that stuff. Yeah. But I always have a positive, I try to, I would say I do a good job, you know, try to have a positive attitude, you know, always show myself helpful, always show myself loving. And, you know, even in trying to maintain a safe distance from the patients, you know, while we're waiting to rule them out or while I'm treating them, you know, I just, and within my voice and within my mannerisms, within my demeanor, I try to let them know that I care for them. You know, they are essentially potentially contagious, but I still have to show love through everything that I do. So, you know, I try to be mindful of my body language, the tone of my voice. You know, I take the extra time that I need to encourage them or to fill them in on their condition, to, you know, say something positive like, well, I think you're on the upswing, you know, or if there's anything that I can tell you about your condition, I'll be sure to let you know as it falls within my scope, you know, just to give them something to hold on to. And of course, I'm always available and offer to pray with them, you know, just to give them an encouraging word to say, you know, you can make it through this, you know, and just to talk to them about things that are important to them. You know, through love and kindness, are we drawn to Christ? So, you know, if family is something that they really want to talk about, then we can talk about that. If you know, they're concerned about not being able to make it to work or meeting their financial needs, we could talk about that. You know, my purpose in being there for them is just to be a sounding board and just to, you know, let them know that I'm there to help them however I can, whether that be something cold to drink, a warm blanket, just showing love, really. because love makes a difference.
That's right. That's good stuff. That's good. How about you, Sister Catherine? How do you, what's your Christian view of this? How do you bring Christ into the workplace? Can you elaborate on that for yourself as well?
Yeah, so typically, I mean, always I pray before I go to work. I pray while I'm at work because again, I work in ICU, so it can be very chaos all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm always praying and praying, but this situation is different. Um, I'm praying more to protect myself. I'm praying God
Sure.
to send his angels to protect my body, to protect my household, because I'm very high risk being in the ICU, taking care of patients that are positive, and trying to be mindful of, making sure that I'm putting on my PPE the way it's supposed to be. But the thing is, like she had said about love, so, in ICU and not even just in ICU, family are not allowed to visit.
That's
Nobody's allowed to be in
Wow.
a hospital. So when a patient is in ICU, most of the time they're on a ventilator, so they can't talk. So, it's difficult for a family member to, they can't be there. They can't talk to their loved one. So just imagine just sitting home, just waiting and not knowing. So I always tell
Wow.
family members, typically we just try to have family member limit phone calls because it takes away care. But I tell the family, call it whenever you need to. Just call. I have no problem. I pray and I try to, when you're in this world, as Christians, and you're trying to be political and trying not to be political.
Sure.
But I think in this situation, I became a little bit more aggressive in my faith. Like a patient, I told his wife clearly on the phone, and it was the truth. Hey, how are you holding up? How are you doing? I'm just letting you know I'm praying for you and your family.
Yes.
This time it's no, it's no time to put Christ on the backside. It's time to stand firm in our beliefs and our faith. And it is what it is. And I whisper in my patient's ear. The moment I get in that room, I whisper in their ear a prayer for them.
Amen.
And I'm just constantly praying. So, I'm a little bit more aggressive now with my faith
Yeah.
in the workforce because, you try not to offend anyone and this and that. But at this point in time, I could care less about who's offended because at the end of the day, this is a war. I personally believe this is a spiritual war, not just a physical war that's happening in the land. This is a spiritual war, and it's time to put on our full armor, and as we walk out these doors and be prepared. So I'm constantly quoting. I go in my bathroom, take a break. I'm pulling out Psalm 91.
Yeah. That's it. That's what's behind that hits right there. So let me ask y'all this, man. And can y'all hear me good?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So let me ask y'all this. So you both are married, your wives, you have children, and you're on the front lines and like you said, a nasty spiritual battle right now. And you know, what are some precautions that you take when you go home to make sure obviously that nothing you bring home from the hospital affects your families? And then to add to that, because not everybody, let's say those that aren't nurses, but those that are doing other things, they got to work at Lowe's, they got to work at wherever, the grocery store. What are some things that they can do practically? Um, whether it be taking off your clothes right away or showering. What are some things that people can do practically to have self-care? And then part two to that is what are some things that people can do if they believe they might be having symptoms to try at home before they would, let's say, call the doctor or before they would, inundate the hospital with, with just, running down the doors. I got coronavirus. Like, what are some of those things people can do? And I'll start with you, Sister Jackie, and then I'll come back to you, Sister Catherine.
Okay, so as far as work, our employer has now allowed us to wear our own clothing to work, and then we can change into surgical scrubs. So those scrubs are supplied by the hospital, and then we can wear those throughout the whole shift. They are then, removed, and then they get laundered by the hospital. So that's definitely something that I have taken advantage of. And then, when I come home, I, undress right away, take a shower before I even let my kids touch me. I might get a glimpse of them, hello, and I'm in the shower, and then, um, I'm able to then, interact with them. Another thing is, instead of a nice cold drink in my cup holder in the car, I have a bottle of hand sanitizer. So, I mean, just to leave the unit, I sanitize on my way, towards the elevator. I have to use my finger to punch out my number. It's a thing of hand sanitizer there. I use that. I press the, button on the elevator, go down a couple floors. There's another hand sanitizer. I'm just hand sanitizing all the way out the building to my car. And when I get in the car, I sanitize again. And when I get out the car, I sanitize again. I mean, you can't do it.
Can't over sanitize.
Right, because you don't know what you're touching and who touched it before you and what they touched before they touched that. So, and it's not a fear thing. It's just something that we're required to do at this point in time. So I do those things, and what I would say to the general public, yes, if they can sanitize. I even saw a video once on, I think it was YouTube, but if you run out of hand sanitizer, how you can make your own hand sanitizer. I think it was like part alcohol, part aloe vera.
Yeah, they had my cousin put something up on Facebook yesterday, and he lives in the Bronx now, but they had hand sanitizer in the store for like $25 or something like that.
Yeah, inflation.
I'm like, whoa.
Inflation.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, Sister Catherine, what about you? What are you doing to kind of protect the family, and what are some other things that people can do to kind of protect themselves as well, self-care?
So I'm just going to speak in general, like, depending on your hospital and the department. I mean, if their department is offering scrubs, then, change clothes. If they're not, bring your clothes to work so that you can change there. I say wipe down your shoes before you get in your car. Sanitize your hands, or better yet, wash your hands before you get in the car. Places like Lowe's, or if you're at the grocery store, you may not necessarily have to change clothes. But I definitely, at the end of the shift, I would recommend to wash their hands, no matter where you work at. Just at the end of the shift, wash your hands thoroughly before you get in the car. If you, another thing that you could do, what I have done is I change clothes in the garage. I just have to admit, I strip down, get in the garage, I take everything off, put it in a bag, and take it straight to the wash machine. When you come from work, regardless of where you're at, you should just go straight to the shower, give a little air hug, thumbs up, peace sign, air high five to your loved ones.
Good, right?
You know what I'm saying? I'll be back. I'll get back to you in a bit. As soon as you hit the door, just hit the bathroom, shower really good, soap, lather up, wash your hair, do all those things. For certain ethnicities, you can't really wash your hair every day. So, depending on where you work, you might have to put on a hairnet, or, before you go to bed, before you get in the put a bonnet on to protect your pillows, things like that. But I just say sanitize, wash your hands, take your shoes off, leave them outside the garage, the front door, or put them in a special place. I wouldn't be walking around your house with your shoes on.
Yeah. Now, what is a way, we're getting ready to wrap up, but what is a way that people, the community, the general public can assist the hospitals, right? So the hospitals are inundated, with, and it's two parts to my question. What what can the general public do to assist and help? And then the other part of that would be, what is the realistic time frame, if any, for vaccination? Because we heard Trump say they got a huge medicine that's going to help and do all this kind of stuff, but then you hear the Dr. Fauci, saying that maybe these things still need to be tested. You know what I mean? So what can the public do to help, real briefly? And then also, real briefly, what would be a realistic time frame for us to say, okay, yeah, there's a vaccination that'll work? You go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as what the public and the community can do, it's the same thing the news has been saying over and over. Stay at home. It's not necessarily stay at home. If you love whoever you love, out of respect, to stay at home. I know it's difficult. People are getting cabin fever. People are getting tired of their children.
I saw a thing the other day that said the teachers need to start paying us for babysitting their kids.
Exactly. I mean, we're all in a tough situation. This is not by choice. No one volunteer or wants to do this or to go through this. But at the end of the day, try to eliminate, make your grocery list and go to the store and get your stuff. Don't try to go to the store every single day. Don't just drive around or just walk around. I mean, you can get out and go outside. Again, what we talked about, the mask. If you do feel the need that you need to go somewhere, whether you're going to be around people, try to put on a mask. They even said on the news, a bandana, a scarf, whatever you can come up with just to cover your nose and your mouth is important. As far as the vaccination, from what I'm hearing and reading, there's no vaccination that's coming about anytime soon, because again, this has to be tested. It has to be approved. In my opinion, I would think a vaccination wouldn't be until next year. Wow. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
It could be sooner than that, but it's a process that they have to go through, as well as medication. It's a process. You just can't throw medications. It can be a clinical trial, but to put it on the market, they have to go through a rigorous process. So again, I mean, the best thing is to wash your hands, sanitize, shower, wear a mask, and more than anything, if you don't pray, now's the time to start. Pray for your family, pray for yourself, and most importantly, people have to pray for not just for your family and your household. You have to start praying for the community, for healthcare workers, for doctors, and even still grudgingly, and I get it, everybody has their opinions, but you have to pray for the government.
Yes.
The government,
that's biblical.
Yes, the government and the president, because they set the laws, they make the laws, and you have to pray for them despite of what you think of them or their opinions or belief. God is in control.
That's
and,
right.
and
1
God
Timothy
knows
2
that.
and Romans 13. We have to pray for the government. Yeah. How about you, Sister Jackie? Anything you'd like to add to that?
So yes, a resounding echo, stay at home. Stay at home unless it's a medical emergency and you must come to the hospital. I would say if you have a non-urgent medical need, please, if at all possible, wait for the PCP appointment. However, I will also say, please do not experiment with different agents, ingesting things in your body. Don't try to do anything outside of your PCP's advice. That's just being wise.
So no home remedies, huh? No kale and green juice and all this other kind
all
of
of those things are good and proven to be healthy for you.
But my wife's trying to get me to eat so much more kale.
Don't have your own little chemical kitchen cooking up.
Right.
And your own antidotes. Practice social distancing. Wear your homemade mask when you're out in public. Even on the CDC website, there's I he's high up in the military. I don't know. I don't know his exact title, but he actually, it's like a few seconds clip where he shows you how to make a mask out of a cut up t-shirt and 2 rubber bands. You just fold it a few times, flip it inside out, and you put it on your ears. Like it's people, getting very fancy with the mask, but honestly, all you need is a few supplies to protect yourself and protect others. And just know that even though you are wearing a mask out in public, that's not a substitute for social distancing. So we do need to continue to do that to, as they say, flatten the curve.
The curve,
And, make sure that regarding the mask too, if you have, certain people should not be wearing masks. People with breathing issues, children under the age of 2 is not recommended. And also those that are incapacitated, meaning they can't remove the mask on their own.
Wow.
Those people are not recommended to wear masks at this time.
I think even the mask thing is really gonna and it's just my commentary, that the mask thing is people gonna start going out more, because now people, they like, oh, we got Pittsburgh Steelers masks, we got Hello Kitty masks, we got this mask, and I'm like, well, the mask was just for an emergency, you know what I mean, if you have to go out. But now they get designed. We're gonna see the Louis mask soon. I mean, it's just it's crazy,
Yeah,
but
and also, I want to say, take advantage of our resources that we have out in the community. For example, we have stores that have apps where you can order things. We know about the restaurants doing that, curbside and all of that. Target on the Run, Walmart, Amazon,
Giants, all of them.
As my sister said, make a grocery store list. Also, just go ahead and put those items in your cart online. And Target, you just pull up, and they can come out and deliver it to your car. Walmart, all of these stores can do the same thing. And as it pertains to, spreading the love of Christ, that's one of the things that I kind of identified that we can do as well. For example, if I found out that you and your wife needed something, all I got to do is get online, hit a few buttons, and I can just copy your address and make sure. So that's one way that I can think of that you can take care of your loved ones too, without necessarily congregating with them, but you can also just be a blessing to the people and help them also get what they need during this challenging time.
Amen. Amen. One word answer from each of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how serious is this coronavirus to the community?
I would say 10.
How about you, Sister Catherine?
With death involved, I would throw it a 10 as well.
Amen. Okay. All right. So here's my last question, and I really appreciate y'all doing this. Y'all have no idea. I pray that the listening viewers and those that are going to watch consume it through Facebook or YouTube or whatever, really appreciate the expertise, the knowledge that y'all are bringing to the table. And one of the things I just want to ask is there an end in sight? And if so, how do you feel that this will affect not only the medical community, but also the church community when this is said and done? Because I know a lot of people are saying, well, when things get back to normal. But my thing is, I think there's going to be a new normal. There's going to be a brand new normal. So you all being involved in the medical community, you all being leaders in the church, how do you see this affecting that when the end comes? I'll start with you, Sister Catherine.
Well, I agree with you. I think this is going to be a new normal. I don't think this is the end, because, again, this is a new virus. And like any other virus, they don't go away. The viruses, they're getting more complicated. They're getting more clever. They're becoming resistant to medications and treatments. So I don't see this as getting better. I see things may possibly become worse. Not necessarily this COVID-19. I'm just speaking in general when it comes to viruses, period. Yeah, I don't see anything. It's just going to be a new normal, and people are just going to learn to be more mindful of what they do because of the tragedy of all the people that have passed away, and the people that have been severely sick. So I think people are going to be a little bit more mindful of the hygiene and things of that nature.
Yeah. I think there was an article or something that said like 300,000 people in the next 15 days or something like that could actually pass away from this thing. So, it's definitely going to be a new norm. What do you think, Sister Jackie?
Well, I think like, in hospital, we've seen it, we've experienced it. It's a high vigilance on hand washing, a higher vigilance, even higher vigilance on hand washing and hand sanitizing. Also, what I'm hoping will happen is that, this kind of jogs our mind to think of better ways to be prepared for emergencies as a nation. So I'm hoping, that we up our emergency preparedness game. Also, as far as the church, I think that it challenges us to think beyond the four walls.
Amen. Come on.
I think that, you've seen a lot of posts like, we are the church didn't shut down. Yeah, we are, we've just been, I don't know if you said it even, or, but we've been deployed. The church is not closed, we've been deployed. So, we still have our mission. We still have our mission in Christ that we have to fulfill, regardless if we have a freestanding building or not. We are ambassadors of Christ. So it just challenges us as Christians to think beyond the four walls. And so a lot of people have been using technology to advance the gospel. So teleconferencing, social media, Zoom. So, we've been using these things to reach others. And I think that it's great. And also, who knows, because of what what feels like confinement, what ministries are going to be birthed out of this. Because, as ministers, we can't just sit still. So we got to get the message out. So we have to become creative and innovative. So, even after this is all over, and it's not that it's going to end, but what's going to happen is we're going to have a vaccine, hopefully. We're going to, it's going to be like the flu. Oh, yeah, she got corona. It's going to be something that we'll be able to deal with. But however, the ministries that are birthed out of this time, they'll still be able to continue.
Amen.
And, a lot of people have accepted friend requests on Facebook of people that, they hadn't even, maybe really considered. But now, by making these connections with even more people, it just gives us a great opportunity to reach the lost.
Yeah, I do. I believe this is going to be this is an opportunity for us to preach Christ. I believe this is an opportunity where people are going to be curious about what's going on. They're going to be curious about the sovereignty of God. They're going to want to know things, and we as people of God need to have answers. We don't need to shuck and jive. We need to have scriptural answers for the people that are searching for scriptural answers, right? It's prevalent, and we got to be in our word. And I've been saying that I've been telling my church, we need to be socially distancing for spiritual development. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to be consistently using this time to spiritually develop, right? Yeah. Just like when Israel went into and this is the Passover season. So when Israel went into their homes that night for the Passover, and they were each in their individual homes, right? They went in as slaves. They went in as a persecuted people, right? They went in wondering if God was there for them, right? But when they came out as the mighty warriors. They came out as a nation. They came out knowing that God was there with he was their front and their rear guard. So we need to use this time of isolation, this time of social distancing, to improve ourselves spiritually, that when we come out of this thing, we can hit the ground running for Christ and can continue the work that God has set us forth to do. So again, ladies, man, my sisters, Man, I appreciate y'all, man. This was awesome. This was really good. I think it was so informative. I believe that anyone can get information out of this that they're looking for in terms of how to protect themselves, what's going on in the front lines, the seriousness of this virus. Do you all, before I close out, do you all have final remarks that you want to give? Anything, like real quick, with 60-second final remarks. I'll start with you, Sister Jackie, and then I'll go to you, Sister Catherine, real quick, if you just have any final remarks.
Yeah, I would just encourage people, social media is fine. It is fine. But if you want to get factual information, go to credible sources. You want to check out the Center for Disease Control. You want to check out the World Health Organization. Those are credible sources. You can't necessarily trust what's on the Facebook stream. So I would say use credible sources when you want factual information, something that can be backed up by science, not Pookie or Ray Ray on the corner. And then also I want to say, yes, it's a time for us to be shut in, but we don't necessarily have to shut up. So what I mean by that is don't shut your mouth to spreading the love of Christ. We want to still reach out to family. We want to still reach out to our friends. We want to still reach out to strangers because we can show love and just, show the love of Christ and God will prevail.
Amen. Amen. Go ahead, Sister Catherine. What do you believe?
So I just one of my final words is just that for everyone that's out there, during this time, make this time to be a time of difference. So when you're in your homes, don't get caught up in just spending an array of Netflix and things like this. This is a time for connection. So connect with your family, your children, your spouse. Do something different, even though you're in the household or within your yard. Do something different and make this a time to really truly connect with God. Spend time in the Word and study the Word and pass the Word along, because God again is in control and God can change any situation. So I just say that, just to make sure that you give Christ all the glory and give Christ some of your time too.
Amen. Amen. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Well, thank you again, my sisters. Praise God. This is another episode of Saints in Society. Again, I am Pastor Matt of Believers in Christ Church, the people's pastor. Please share this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please like our Facebook page. You can also go on our website at bicyork.org, and you can register there. Your email to be to stay up to date with our information. You can email us at bicyork@gmail.com. Just put in the subject "Sign me up," and we'll put you on our email blast to let you know when we're doing Bible study, when we're giving out food, some of the new content that's coming out, and all that stuff, so you can stay plugged into what we're doing at BIC. So we really appreciate you, ladies. Thank you. God bless you all.
You're welcome.
Amen. And thank
you.
For what you are doing. Stay safe out there. We are praying for y'all. We love you. And just be encouraged in what you're doing, because the Lord sees everything, and he sees your hard work, and he sees your efforts, and how you're putting every other's needs above the needs of your own. And that's awesome there, Philippians chapter 2. Amen. So stay tuned, people of God, for the next time we get together. Remember, the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. I pray the Lord bless thee and keep thee. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you.
Amen. Amen. Bless you too. Thank you.